Imagine you're sitting at the poker table. There's thousands of dollars in the middle. Your heart is racing. It feels like it's almost beating out of your chest. And you have one decision: call or fold. Most people think that this decision is about the cards. It isn't. It's about discipline. It's about fear. It's about ego. And it's about accepting uncertainty. And the more I've played, the more I've realized something. Poker isn't teaching us about cards. Poker is teaching us how to live. Whether you've never touched a deck of cards before, or you've been playing this game for years, poker can teach the same lessons to anybody who plays it. That's the beautiful part about this game. Today I want to share several lessons that I have learned along the way in my poker journey. And honestly, I think they've made me a better person than a poker player. One of the hardest things for new poker players to learn is to learn folding. You finally get dealt a hand. You've already invested money. You want to see what happens. You convince yourself and say, maybe I'll get lucky. So you end up calling. And you end up losing more. Great poker players don't hate folding. They embrace it. And as a matter of fact, the absolute best poker players use folding as a weapon. That's right. Folding as a weapon. Because they understand something that most people don't about life. Not everything deserves your time, your energy, and your attention. Sometimes we stay in relationships too long because we've invested years. Sometimes we stay at a job too long because we're afraid to start over. Sometimes we're chasing dreams that no longer fit the person that we've become. Psychologists call this the sunk cost fallacy. The belief that because we've already invested something, that we need to keep investing. But poker punishes this mindset, as does life. The strongest players, and often the strongest people, know when it's time to walk away. Here's something that might surprise somebody who doesn't play poker. You can make every correct decision and still lose. You can get all your money in as a 95% favorite and lose. You can play perfectly for 6 straight hours and still walk away with less money than what you started with. It's cruel, it's not fun, but that's the game. And that's the game that we all accept. But life has variance too. You can work hard and get passed over for a promotion at work. You can do everything right with your health and still face serious illness. You can work on a project that you poured your heart into and nobody notices. Meanwhile, someone else catches a lucky break. It's super frustrating. But fairness isn't how probability works. Poker taught me to stop asking, why me? Why is this happening to me? But instead, poker taught me to ask, did I make the best decision with the information and resources that I had available to me? The third lesson that I have taken from poker that I translate into life is confidence doesn't equal truth. So what do I mean by that? Let me explain. One of the most fascinating things about poker is bluffing. It is absolutely fascinating. And more specifically, the way that people act when they are bluffing. Sometimes the guy who's trying to act the strongest, he's the loudest. A lot of the times that guy has nothing at all. Whereas someone who is quiet, reserved, sometimes that guy has the nuts. And if you're not a poker player, that means the best possible hand. The lesson isn't just about poker. It's about people. Because we live in a world where confidence is rewarded, whether it's business, politics, social media, even everyday conversations. Confidence is rewarded. But confidence isn't evidence. Okay? So stay with me here. The loudest voice in the room isn't always the wisest. The person who seems like they have it all figured out could be the person who is struggling the most, but they just don't put it out there. Poker teaches you to stop believing appearances. Instead, it teaches you to look for patterns, evidence, consistency. That's a skill that serves you everywhere. You cannot control the cards that you are dealt. Nobody chooses the cards that they're dealt. Some people start with advantages, and some people start with obstacles. This is true in poker, and this is true in life. You don't choose your family. You don't choose your genetics. You don't choose every hardship that you're going to face. But what you do choose is your response. You choose your attitude. You choose your preparation. You choose your work ethic. And you choose your discipline. I've seen players complain about bad luck and bad beat stories all the time. That's all they do. They've been sitting in the same stake for the same 5 years, complaining how they got their aces cracked last Tuesday by Lucky Mark. And then I've seen players who have quietly improved, who have just come, put the work in, and been able to slowly climb up stakes to the point where they're playing at the highest game in the room as one of the most feared players in the room. There's a difference between the two, and the difference is the response of that person and what they can control. You cannot control the cards that you are dealt, but what you can control is your response and the way that you play those cards. The same thing happens in life. Sometimes you're dealt a really, really shitty hand. You can't control that you were dealt that shitty hand, but what you can control is how you respond to it and where you'd like to go. Small edges create extraordinary results. What do I mean by this? Let me explain. So, when people who don't really know the game think about poker, whether they've seen it on TV or, they've seen it in a movie or whatever the case may be, it's portrayed that when you win in poker, it's done by this big dramatic bluff or this big pot that you win that sways one person into the limelight with millions of dollars and everything they wanted, and that other person into the abyss, into absolute nothingness. That's not the case. Winning players become winners through hundreds of tiny decisions. One disciplined fold, one extra study session, one emotional mistake avoided. This is where winning players find their edge. They make these really good decisions over and over and over and over again, while the people who are losing at the game make these little decisions, but make the bad decision over and over and over again. And in the moment, it may seem insignificant. But as we know, if you've watched my channel and you've watched any good poker content, poker is won through the long run. So when you add up 5 years of really shitty decisions or 5 years of really good decisions, it ends up being an extraordinary or horrible result, depending on which side that you're on. And those little edges, they don't feel important until you add them all together. They don't seem important until you put them together with a million other good or bad decisions. And here's the thing. Life is built the exact same way. Walking 30 minutes a day, saving $20 a week, reading 10 pages of your homework a night, calling your parents, being kind to strangers, these little things that we either do or we don't do every day add up in the long run. None of these things are going to change your life overnight. But over 5 years, If you save $20 a week for 5 years, it adds up. If you call your parents once a day for 5 years, the relationship builds and it adds up. If you walk 30 minutes a day for 5 years, your health starts to build and it adds up. Success rarely arrives in one giant moment. It grows quietly while nobody is paying attention. And that is the lesson that I've taken away from poker. All right, guys, so the next lesson that I have learned that I take from poker and I translate into life is every single hand is independent. Let's talk about this because this lesson absolutely changed my mindset forever. This was one of the most crucial things that I took from poker and was able to apply to my everyday life, and it made it much better after I converged the two concepts. So if I lose the biggest pot of my life, the next hand does not care. The hand does not care if I lost $1 million the last hand. It does not favor me. It does not exclude me. It does not care. The deck has no memory. The cards do not owe me a win. And when I was a beginning poker player, this was something that I thought. I was like, oh, I haven't won a hand or I haven't won a session in so long. I'm due for a win, right? How many times, if you guys are out there and you're superstitious in anything that you do, whether it's sports or a video game or whatever, and you're like, I'm due for a win. You're not. Probability does not care that you think that you're due, right? And neither does poker, and neither does life, for that matter. One bad day does not define tomorrow. One failed business attempt doesn't mean you'll never succeed. One rejection doesn't determine your worth. Too many people carry yesterday into today, and then they keep carrying it every day thereon forward. So that is a horrible place to live in. Treat each day like the deck treats your hand. Each day, each minute, each second is independent from the last. And the only person that can decide that is you. Every morning that you wake up, life deals you another hand. Play that one. Guys, before we get to my last point, I just wanted to say thank you so much for checking out my video. I put a ton of work into these videos, and I do it because I love to do it. This was something, like I've said in the past, that I've wanted to do for a long time, and I'm doing it. So thank you so much for checking out my videos. If you've liked it, if you've shared it, leave me a comment. I appreciate it more than you'll ever know. And if this advice or something that I'm doing or saying is going to help even one person, then it's all worth it for me. So again, thank you so much. And I did want to let you guys know about some of the stuff that I have coming up. I am headed out to Vegas next week, so I am going to be doing my first live vlog. I'm going to be vlogging at all the MGM properties in Vegas, so that will be out in the next couple weeks. I'm going to be doing some live streaming from Club WPT Gold. I'm going to be doing my flop video that's going to be completely related to the flop, and then we'll get to the turn, and then we'll get to the river. If there's something that you guys want me to talk about, please let me know. But again, thank you so much for checking out my videos, and keep an eye out for my future videos. Turn the bell notification on, and hit me up. I'm on all the social medias, Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on Twitter or X, and I'd love to hear from you guys. So again, thank you again. Before we move on to the last concept here, I just want to say thank you again. I really appreciate it, and I really hope that you take these lessons and you're able to apply them to life, because at the end of the day, that's what's more important. I love poker. I love teaching poker. I love talking poker, but there are things that are more important than poker out there. So if you can take these and spin them in a positive way to make it so that your life is a little bit better because of it, that's everything. That's the point of this video. So let's get on to lesson number 7, though. And lesson number 7 is life rewards the process, not the outcome or the result. So this may be the most important lesson that poker has ever taught me, because it's one that's hard to learn without it. Let me give you an example. Imagine two poker players. The first makes the perfect decision and ends up losing the hand. The second player ends up making an awful decision, but ends up getting lucky and winning the hand. Who played better? Well, consensus would actually tell you that if you were observing this at a poker table and you weren't watching a video directly related to the topic, that you would say that the person who won the pot played the hand better. Why is that? Because we are, as a society and as a species, we are designed to be results oriented, because the result is always what matters. As a kid, if you are in anything competitive, the most important part is the win, right? Is winning. And if you don't win, you're upset because of the result. No matter how good that you played, or if you did everything that you could, that's like playing football. You do everything you can, but it takes all 11 to win on the field. So it's almost the same thing in poker. You make the best decisions that you can, and you separate yourself from the result. So poker teaches you to judge the decision instead. If you only celebrate outcomes, you'll be a slave to luck in this game. If you celebrate good decisions, you'll keep improving regardless of what happens. And that's the important part, is that you keep trying to improve. And in life, this is true in fitness, business, marriage, parenting, education. It is true in everything. You hear some of the top athletes in the world who say, fall in love with the process. Because when you fall in love with the process and you separate yourself from the result, you love the process of getting to that point. And you're not going to stop because of a result of that process. And that's the important part. Great lives aren't built from one perfect moment. They're built from thousands and thousands of good decisions repeated over time. And that is falling in love with the process. All right, guys, that's all I have for you today. I hope these 7 lessons and these 7 concepts are something that you could really sink your teeth into. Take them and apply them not only to poker, but apply them to everything in your life. And you will see how the game of poker and the things that we do inside of the game really translate to everything that you do in life. It's amazing when you sit down and you break it down and you think about it. And I know it's a little bit different from the normal content that I actually intended on doing, which was, poker strategy. But I think that this was good because it can relate to a wide variety of people, because everybody can relate to struggles and processes and everything that we talked about today. So if you enjoyed my content, please like the video, subscribe to my channel, leave me a comment. Let me know if there's something else in poker that you guys are like, hey, I took this from poker and I applied it into my life. I'd love to hear it. I will reply back. Hit me up on social medias. And again, be on the lookout for my live vlogs coming out. I'm going to be recording at all the MGM properties in Las Vegas next week when I am there. And if you see me, say hi, come up and talk some poker with me. So again, thank you so much for checking out my channel. Sabu out. And remember, embrace variance.
Embrace variance. We don't do the same sound. Embrace variance. Embrace variance. Embrace variance.